Okay, so in this video, you are going to see two of Donald Trump's most powerful allies, Joe Rogan and Marjorie Taylor Greene, publicly break with him over his brutal mass deportation scheme run by ICE. The reality on the ground has become too horrifying for even them to defend. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now let's watch this together, and then I'll give you my 2 cents at the end.
If Donald Trump's political power lies in being able to convince his supporters of anything and everything, then loud public dissent from inside his coalition, from prominent MAGA influencers, might be the thing that will melt his carefully crafted alternative fact-based reality faster than the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. And that is exactly what is starting to happen with his brutal and ugly and clunky and wildly unpopular mass deportation scheme. The sight and the sound and the smells of heavily armed federal agents sweeping up people with no criminal records, everyone from grandmas to kids, with arrests everywhere from outside of schools to outside of bakeries, even to a Marine base. Those sights and sounds are proving to be too much for arguably the most influential podcaster in the MAGA adjacent universe. Here's Joe Rogan.
The way it looks is horrific. When you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years, that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
No.
Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people have been here for 20 years, like, come on, man. That's crazy. Like, let's find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this thing that you want to do, which is keep terrorists and cartel members from getting across the border with drugs that kill 100,000 people a year. Okay, but also have a heart. Because if you don't, you're not going to get anybody on your side. If you're doing this stuff publicly, throwing women to the ground, handcuffing people, just for existing on the wrong side of the dirt. Not a criminal. Not the only crime they ever committed was coming over here as a kid. They probably didn't even know what the was going on.
Man.
You know, a lot of kids got snuck across when they were already born in Mexico. And they've grown up their entire life in America. They can't even speak Spanish. And they could get sent back.
I guess our only edit there is they have been sent back. They have been sent back already, Joe Rogan. But a new standard there emerging in American politics and in one of the most influential media bubbles in American politics. The Rogan standard is that it is now, quote, heartless if you were for sending anyone back who's been in the country 20 years, anyone other than, quote, terrorists and people coming in with drugs, have an effing heart. And if you do it anyway, you don't have one. But importantly, because he's said things before and we didn't lead with them, he's not alone. Disapproval and unease with Trump's mass deportation scheme extends to some of Trump's most diehard elected supporters as well. Never thought I'd say this, but here's Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene making a lot of sense on a podcast over the weekend.
We have a labor force in America across many industries that has been built on illegal labor. That's a fact. That also cannot be ignored. And as a conservative and as a business owner in the construction industry and as a realist, I can say we have to do something about labor, and that needs to be a smarter plan than just rounding up every single person and deporting them just like that. Right. So, and I'm going to get pushed back on that, but I'm just living in reality from here on out.
Plenty to not like about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Joe Rogan. But if we could have done this on our own, we wouldn't be here. So this shift in rhetoric and tone and these new standards being laid out there, Marjorie Taylor Greene saying it's not living in reality to carry out Trump's deportation policy is more than a shift in tone. It's a shift in her position. She owns a construction company, and she's giving voice to people inside Trump's coalition who have the same concerns. Back in May, when a college student who had been raised in her district was due to be deported to Mexico, she was more callous. She hadn't understood what Trump was actually going to do. And she said, quote, the law is the law. But this is her now. Quote, I'm not ignoring facts anymore. So if the reality of Trump's mass deportation campaign and how it is impacting every one of us, everyone is going to be touched by it, regardless of who you voted for. If it's starting to sink in, we should note that the administration is about to turn the volume up even louder. They are now escalating what brought those two to their conversions in their views on Trump and this policy in city after city after city. It's going to get worse. On Friday, ICE deported the father of a U.S. Marine who was first detained along with his wife at a Marine base outside of San Diego. In Chicago, more than 1,000 people have been arrested since deportation operations began last month, leading to some incredibly harrowing scenes that have put the city and the country and mixed documented families in this country on edge all over the country. Scenes like this one. This video is from the New York Times showing a flower vendor being detained, or authorities conducting a military-style operation on an apartment building in the South Side in which children were zip-tied. And according to one eyewitness, the agent said, "F the kids." Or this, agent shooting pepper balls at a pastor who had his hands held up in prayer. Trump's Department of Homeland Security claiming that it is arresting, quote, "the worst of the worst," end quote. But brand new reporting from MSNBC blows that lie out of the water, reveals that out of the more than 1,000 arrests made in Chicago, quote, the agency provided detailed information for only 10 men with criminal background, about 1% of those detained, making independent verification difficult. The public intra-MAGA backlash to the open cruelty of Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign is where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. MSNBC senior national and political correspondent Jacob Sobroff is at the table. Plus, pollster and president of Brilliant Corners Research, MSNBC political analyst Cornell Belcher, also at the table. And we miss you at the table, Tim Miller, MSNBC political analyst, host of the Bulwark podcast. Tim Miller also joins us. Jacob, this is your new reporting we landed on. Take us through it.
Well, it is heartening, I think, in some measure to hear the clip you played from Joe Rogan. It's heartening to hear Marjorie Taylor Greene. But like you, I think back when I hear that to what I saw on the floor of the Republican convention. Mm-hmm. They weren't saying it when the sign said mass deportations now, but they are waking up to the fact that mass deportations are family separation by another name. And anybody who pays any amount of attention to this knows that and has known that for the better part of over a year now, since they were pushing this in the summer at the convention. But now it's actually playing out on the streets all across the country. And Chicago is the latest place where I saw it, and Kay Guerrero, our senior producer, and I spent the better part of a week there last week. We saw over the course of just one day, multiple detentions happening of multiple people going about their quotidian activities. And so we wanted to dive deeper to understand, well, is what we saw the exception or is it the rule? And it is the rule. They talk about that apartment building on the South Shore where they detained 37 people. 8 of those 37 had some form of criminal record. One of them has some association with Tren de Aragua. When we look at Maricela...
Let me just interrupt you. So who authorized the helicopter to pursue one alleged member of Tren de Aragua?
I don't. And so the honest answer is I can't tell you the specific person, but that kind of an operation, Greg Bavino is the chief patrol agent of the Border Patrol. He went from Los Angeles to Chicago to carry out what they did on the streets of LA, on the streets of Chicago. And for me, it was like deja vu. Mm. It was like seeing the same scenes play out in almost exactly the same order. First, they come out with literally flashbangs, the type of sort of shock and awe to people on the street would say terrorize the community. Mm-hmm. And then you see who they're really going after. Like Maricela, the 53-year-old mother who was just going to buy meat for a stew. And just to remind everybody, we have more reporting about her, but I would love to show everybody a little bit of that detention. Watch this. She was going to buy meat for a stew, as we talked about last week. And
why wouldn't the agent just tell the witness? Why is taking people away and keeping them anonymous part of their protocol?
Because that is what they want people to see. The show of force is the point. Adam Serwer said the cruelty is the point. Letting people see this is the point. They want these images to be out. They're making their own videos. Department of Homeland Security is walking around Chicago with a film crew.
So then why are they telling people to get away?
Because I think that what they don't want is for people to actually intervene and stop it from happening so that they can have this type of content to show the world. And so 70% of people in ICE detention have no criminal record right now. 70% of people, when they say they're going after the worst of the worst, and you said it, 10 people is who they provided evidence for out of the 1,000 detained since the beginning of September in Chicago.
See, what we have just witnessed is the inevitable collision of rhetoric with reality. For years, mass deportation was an abstract threat by some of the worst people in public life. Now that you're seeing the images, the video footage, pastors being shot with pepper balls, children being zip-tied, mothers being snatched off the street, the political poison is starting to seep back and infect the MAGA movement itself. This is what happens when political fantasies become real-world nightmares. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.